wow, there was an incredibly consequential game on Saturday on the hardwood in Oxford. It was only consequential for one of the two teams. Nothing would have or could have changed for Ole Miss other than just feeling a little bit better about itself. And potentially feeling good about knocking its in-state rival out of the postseason.
Yeah. It's fun to play spoiler.
But it was a massive game of consequence for Mississippi State. 2:30 tip-off at the Pavilion. And you might argue that it was a game that set college basketball back a touch. It was the shooting performances were not great. Although Mississippi State, when it was all said and done, ended up shooting 46% from the field. They were 3 of 18 from behind the arc for 16.7%. Ole Miss was 3 of 22 from behind the arc for 13.6%, and the Rebels shot just 32% from the field. Mississippi State got the win in overtime, 69-61. Couple of things. Tolu Smith, big game, 17 and 12. Deshaun Davis, not a great game, but he took over at the end and in overtime and made some huge buckets for Mississippi State. If you want to say the 5 minutes of overtime, I'd say in the last, 8 minutes of the game, he really raised his level of play. DJ Jeffries hit a shot that previously had only been seen in the Larry Bird, Michael Jordan horse commercials. Was that McDonald's that they were advertising?
Yeah,
it's like off the top corner of the backboard, bank, nothing but net. Oh,
yeah.
Well, okay then. Shot clock winding down, fade away from the corner in overtime, hit the top corner of the backboard, and banks it in, nothing but net. You're not supposed to be able to do that. But he did.
I thought the play-by-play guy said it right. He said you could practice that shot 1,000 times and never hit one.
Yeah.
And he's right.
One of a cut.
You couldn't.
All right, so in terms of what the game meant, it was huge for Mississippi State, right? They had to win that basketball game. They could not have that loss on their resume at this point of the season when it comes to net, when it comes to being a bubble team, and so they are very much still a bubble team, and they're kind of in hang-on-for-dear-life mode. That said, their game tomorrow night in Missouri is huge, huge. And it's not just huge for Mississippi State. It's big for Missouri also, who has lost 2 games in a row and who has a net ranking that is 8 spots behind Mississippi State's 43. They're at 51 in the net, although seemingly more comfortably in the field right now, as projected by Joe Lunardi, than Mississippi State is.
Yeah, which is one of the great mysteries. I'm sure it'll all work itself out there in the end. But State has 2 quad 1 opportunities now. Texas A&M has climbed into the top 30, which means if they stay there, Saturday's game is a quad 1 game for them as well. They got to split this week. 2-0 obviously. 2-0 would probably you're in, I think, at that point.
Yes.
But 1-1 keeps you on the track. And I don't really know which game to tell you that I think State has the better chance in. I think A&M's the better team than Missouri, but that game's in Starkville versus playing in Columbia, where Missouri's been really good this year. But you mentioned Missouri. These last 2 games for them have been bad. A team that averages well over 80 points a game. 56 points, I believe, against Auburn and only 60 against Texas A&M. And, of course, when they played State a few weeks ago, they only scored 52. Here's a stat for you. I was not aware of this until State played Missouri last time. And I forgot to bring it up here on the show, but State's won 12 of the last 13 against Missouri. What a weird series to dominate for Mississippi State, but they've just had Missouri's number. Howland had it, and now Jans is 1-0 against them. So this is a big game. Obviously, you're on the call up there, so looking forward to hearing from you tomorrow. I know you won't be on the show the full time, but after you see shoot-around, what do you think of that game? Because this is a game where if State wins, they can maybe for the first time all year feel a little bit of comfort that they're going to get in if they just take care of their business the rest of the way.
What do you guys think about Saturday? Borky, you made yourself watch it.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
I'm sorry.
I'll be honest with you. Anybody who watched that
truth.
game, even the biggest State fan, made themselves watch it because that was not what Dr. Naismith was thinking of when he created. Or maybe it was. Maybe it was what he was thinking of with the peach basket.
Yeah, that more closely resembled his basketball than modern basketball today.
Yeah.
But that was almost a devastating blow. And look, after the Kentucky loss, I did see some State fans saying things like, this is why we never get up for basketball because they always lose every time we do. And it's like, you lost to Kentucky, man. In year one with a brand new coach and a roster that is missing some pieces to be a complete team. And you were still on the right side of the tournament. Oh,
by the way, a Kentucky team who was backed into a corner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And has, by the way, found their way. Kentucky is seemingly starting to peak at the right time. Wouldn't be the first time that they've done something like that, but this game would have been that. If you'd have lost to this Ole Miss team, that I would have understood the angst, and it was almost there. But that's college basketball, right? I was talking with a State fan friend of mine, and he was like, "But it just looked so bad. Like they didn't play well against Kentucky, and then they played bad against Ole Miss. I don't think they're going to make it." And my response was, "They may not. They've got difficult games ahead. They are very much." Despite being on the right side of the bubble today, it's close, and it may not happen. But basketball's weird. And if you just win road games in conference, regardless of who it's against, you should be okay. Like you should feel okay. You went up there, you played like crap, you shot like crap, had a chance to lose. Ole Miss had one of the worst final possessions that you have ever seen, and you won. And that's all that matters. It's just you won, and now you get an opportunity tomorrow night against Missouri. That's literally the only thing that matters. And that's a Missouri team you've already beaten.